This video, I just want to go into two companies that have run D&D, and this is a versus video. So these are just my opinions. Obviously, your opinions are going to be different. Maybe I get some facts wrong, maybe I don't know. But I'm just going to do a quick video on my feelings about which company does D&D better. I'm not actually going to declare a winner. But I am going to just go over different pros and cons of the company as I see it. And you're welcome to disagree with me. Please put your disagreements down in the comments. I love reading them. And so, yeah, I'll just get started. I mean, TSR started in 1973. And Tactical Studies rules with the first books that were actually hand assembled and put into a box by Gary Gygax and Arneson, and that sort of kicked off the whole D&D as it happened. Which, you know, we've got all our different versions of D&D that we love, and the thing is with TSR. Was kind of interesting. I think they got a lot of things right with Dungeons and Dragons. Obviously, the very first people who created D&D started TSR. Well, Gygax started TSR to distribute these rules. And unfortunately, the company TSR itself didn't appear to be run too well. And I recommend a book called Slaying the Dragon by Ben Riggs. Goes into the history of that. But I'm not going to bother with the business part of it. I really don't know that much about that stuff. And honestly, I don't really care. It's more or less what happened that I care about. So one of the things with the original D&D is that sort of the player's handbook was born out of, and also the Dungeon Master's Guide was born out of a whole bunch of home rules that were sort of put together and then amassed into a collection of rules. And unlike these rules, which were sort of envisioned and written at once, whereas these ones are more an amalgamation of all kinds of different rules. And, I mean, it was early days, right? One of the things that I really liked about what TSR did was their opinion, their approach to the game was that, you know, it was for everyone and that you could create your own rules and you could make your own adventures. But they did hold the copyright on all of this, and so if you wanted to create your own stuff, it was quite difficult. The difficulties themselves were just in circumventing the copyright. So if people wanted to, like, for example, here is the, a Judges Guild product. And you could make D&D adventures, but you couldn't affiliate it at all with D&D, and you had to be very careful about how you did stat blocks and stuff for monsters. And it kind of, and for encounters and adventures and stuff like that. And it did make the game, like, using these products a little bit awkward in that, it was hard because you didn't use the exact terminology as the same as the game or anything from like the original adventures. They're quite a bit different if you compare the stat blocks. Now, some independent publishers like Judges Guild, they were able to, get over that with negotiating with TSR, and then they could quote the rules and stuff and be more direct about it. But without that, it was kind of difficult to create your own products for TSR game, for Dungeons and Dragons, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, or the basic, and publish them because you had to get around the different copyrights. And the rules themselves don't have a copyright. That's why we have these games. If you're able to copyright the rules, or this adventure, you wouldn't even have this adventure. But luckily, that's not the case. You can't actually copyright rules, but you can copyright the language, and you can't copy the format too much. So that was a downer with the Dungeons and Dragons. Now, it does explicitly, I mean, the creator said they wanted everybody to create their own stuff. They wanted everybody to enjoy the game and create their own worlds and that sort of thing, just not publish them. So in that vein, Wizards of the Coast came along and they had their open license and they started allowing people to publish. And so that's how you ended up with all kinds of fun things, you know, like Pathfinder, lots of swords and wizardry. You end up with you know, new monsters. This was in the D&D 3.5 era, because the open license gave fans the ability to take their homebrew games, which were so encouraged by TSR but not actually allowed. All of a sudden you were allowed to do it, and you could create your own stuff, and it was amazing. Really, really amazing. Caused, I believe, a renaissance. And so, you know, D&D 3 just took right off. We won't talk about D&D 4. But anyway, so, you know, it created a whole new market. It opened the game right up. So I've got to give it to Wizards of the Coast for that. But the original flavor and so forth of the game seems to have been lost on Wizards. And the 5.0 rules, which Wizards is most famous for here, are the most popular rule set created. Now, they're more popular even than AD&D. Now, why exactly that is, you could make all kinds of arguments. It might be the internet. It could be the license. I mean, they're owned by Hasbro, and you know, which is owns Magic the Gathering. So they have really good artists. One thing I want to mention here, and this will be controversial, so you can put your comments down in the comments. But I really don't get the hate for AI. I don't see much difference between photo bashing and AI. I honestly don't. You know, I think the people that are really hating on AI need to take a quick course in exactly what photo bashing is. But anyway, that's just my personal opinion. So, but the artwork's really nice in these. I'll give them that. One thing I'm not a fan of with Wizards of the Coast is this insistence on these giant adventures. Now, I know some people like these, and they think that, oh yeah, that's just absolutely fantastic. Maybe, you know, I don't like them. I think that they're extremely expensive because there's so much in them, and the adventures could easily be broken up, which would make it a lot more palatable, because maybe you start the adventure and nobody really wants to finish it. Maybe your group falls apart. So I really like the idea of series. And that's something that I think TSR really got right, were these smaller modules, these smaller adventures. If you wanted to create... Oh, God, I love this art. I miss this art. See, I'm not bashing this art at all. I just love it. Look at that. Isn't this gorgeous? I haven't looked at this in years. But anyway, so if you want, as you can see, this is S2, so it's part of a series. Here's an S3, right? It's part of a series. And so, oh yeah, look at that. Great illustrations. All right. So I guess the biggest thing is just the, maybe better printing techniques, fancier printing, definitely more expensive books. And that's a huge minus for Wizards of the Coast, in my opinion. It's just the expense of these books. They're good quality, you know, like they're really good quality, and I'm impressed with that. They'll last a long time. But these books are really old. Whoops, I don't know whose name that is, but not mine. But these weren't bad quality books either, right? The originals. But I do like that they're full color inside, and you know, that's all. Oh wow, look at that map, eh? Isn't that gorgeous? So I like that a lot for Wizards of the Coast. But I just can't get over these huge... What is this thing? This thing was $63 in Canada. So that's probably 112 Canadian pesos today. I can't imagine how much these books are gonna, how much this book is gonna be now with inflation. Yeah, but anyway, like, that's crazy, right? Whereas you could make something like this. And another thing that I really liked TSR did was they created the sleeves, so they came off and you had a ready-made DM screen. And you could set this up, and then you had your maps and your references right there, and you could see them. I just, I really miss that. Here's one of the very first ones, right? Against Cult of the Reptile God. Again, look at that. I just love it. So I'm going to have to definitely give a win to TSR for that. These are just so much better, in my opinion, than these. Sure, the art's nice, the books are really nice and whatever, but the expense is crazy. These could be broken up into multiple adventures, so that you instead of laying out $63, right? What is that in US dollars? $49. So instead of laying out $50, you could have a whole bunch, and you could either sell them as a set, but you could break them up. And that way, if your party breaks up or something happens, you get a different job, you got to move. I mean, life happens, right? You're invested $63, or you could have invested $20 or $30 or whatever, get started. And if things don't work out, oh well, right? You still had that adventure, that was fun, you're not able to continue it. And maybe that's the idea. Maybe the idea is they didn't want to sell, 100 of N1 and then only 20 of N2. Maybe that's the idea. I'm sure there's some marketing behind it. But just for myself anyway, I definitely prefer this. So that's a win for TSR. I think, too, I like the art better now that I think about it. Because the art in here is photo bashing. And honestly, there isn't any difference to me between photo bashing and AI art. I mean, in photo bashing, you basically take computer files and then you make it look like you painted, and you take bits and pieces of other things and you move them in, you arrange them, and you make it look like you painted it. Isn't that what AI does? Same thing, as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah. Better art by TSR, in my opinion. But the open license, that open game license, that was just amazing. And what it did for the hobby, I mean, that cannot be underestimated. And like I say, they say that they wanted you to create your own rules. They wanted you to make your own worlds. That was the whole idea of it. Just don't publish them. Well, that didn't work out very well. And I remember playing, in the 80s. And it sucked. I had massive campaign worlds, all kinds of stuff going on that I would have loved to have published, but it was impossible. I couldn't do it. And so the only other option would have been to, try and get something submitted into like a dungeon magazine or something, right? And some adventures in here. These are great magazines. That's something I really appreciated too. But the thing is I also appreciate the Dungeons Guild. Now, Wizard of the Coast putting everything online like they do, and then even giving up a license so that you can, if you go online, you can actually create Forgotten Realms stuff, and use their IP as long as it's under, certain circumstances. I think that's great. Now, Wizard of the Coast, they tried to revoke that license because of another Williams, but it seems like the companies are plagued by Williams. TSR had Lorraine Williams, and then Wizards of the Coast has this Cynthia Williams. Or no, Cynthia Williams was TSR. Lorraine Williams is Wizards of the Coast. I think I got those in the right order. I hope I did. Anyway, it seems to be a Williams problem. But anyway, well, actually, that isn't true. I mean, there's some argument that Lorraine Williams. Lorraine Williams, yeah, that's TSR. and Cynthia Williams is Wizard of the Coast. So Lorraine Williams, there's some argument that she actually saved TSR. TSR was on the verge of bankruptcy because they just really didn't know what they were doing at all. And then when Wizard of the Coast finally bought them, paid $30 million, took it over, the only reason it existed was because of her, even though she didn't like gamers, and she seemed to like Buck Rogers a lot more in D&D. Like I say, pick up that book. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's pretty crazy. But another thing that really strikes to me is the content of the older D&D. When the Satanic Panic happened and so forth, TSR just really didn't react to it. They didn't take out demons, they didn't take out devils, they didn't take out magic, they didn't bend the knee. Whereas Wizards of the Coast is absolutely bending the knee. I think that if Wizards of the Coast ran things at that time, the Satanic Panic had broken out, we wouldn't have any, D&D would look completely different than it does today. The old school, what I'm saying. They would have taken everything out, even slightly offensive. And so that's one thing. Wizards of the Coast being so woke. It's a travesty in my opinion. Now, go ahead, leave comments. I'm sure some of you, it's the best thing in the world. Yeah, is it really though? Have you been to? I've been to a communist country. I was in a city of what? I think it was like 20 million people, something like that. There was one bookstore, and it was tiny, and there wasn't a single art gallery anywhere. In the entire city, I never saw a single art gallery. It's because art dies when it has to serve political purposes. It just dies. And I think we're witnessing that happening with Wizards of the Coast. Now, obviously you're welcome to disagree with me. I'm sure lots of you will. But that's in my opinion, that's probably the number one thing against Wizards of the Coast right now. Not that I have any problem with including people and all of that kind of stuff. It's fine, but it's just that art, when it's made to service a political agenda, stops being art, and people stop being interested, and they go away, and all your art galleries close, and you end up with a huge city, giant city, with a single bookstore with hardly anybody in it. That's what happens. That's what it gets to, because the human experience is complicated, and in order to enjoy yourself as a human, you have to be able to live your life and experience those complications and explore those complications. And if you're not able to do that, if it always has to have a political agenda, people will very quickly lose interest. And I don't know if that's happening with D&D. I know certainly I have lost interest. I go back to the older stuff, but I used to play this, and so there's a nostalgic value for this. I don't actually play AD&D anymore. I like to play the OSR kind of games. But yeah, that's just my quick overview of the two different companies and sort of the pros and cons, without getting into any of the business stuff. I don't want to get into any of the business stuff. Just suffice it to say, they're both not being run that well, I don't think. And now Wizard of the Coast is apparently going to try and go digital, and they're going to try and bring everything online, and it's going to, there's all kinds of theories about what they're planning to do. And there's a lot of support for that, because they did try and get rid of the open license. To their credit, though, they went and made it Creative Commons. So the 5th edition rules now are Creative Commons. That's fantastic. So, that's a huge win for Wizard of the Coast, in my opinion, in terms of for me, enjoying the hobby. Because as an artist, I love creating things. I love making adventures, and I love being able to put them online. I love being able to have my drive-through RPG and that kind of thing. And I love being able to see all the stuff other people have created. It's just great, right? So, yeah, that's my quick overview of it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and all that stuff. Oh, yeah, and I almost forgot. I've started a new channel, and it's for my music. Some of you might not know, but I used to do music back in the ooze, and I lost my ability to make music because my hands go absolutely numb if I play my guitar for more than maybe 15 minutes. But I put out a couple albums, won some awards. I had a lot of fun doing it. And so there are now new tools to sort of create music, and so I'm able to start making music again, and I'm really enjoying it. So if you would like to check it out, I know I put a video out that of sort of sample of my music, and the YouTube algorithm murdered it because I think what happened is people clicked on it and I don't know what that is and clicked off of it, right? So, but anyway, you can go visit it if you want. It's called Underdog Audio, and it's my new channel. I'm putting out new songs every week. You're welcome to check it out. Anyway, thank you for watching. That's it. Talk to you later. Bye.